benefit for AM 950 this Sunday at the Astor House in Minneapolis. The show starts at 7 p.m. Get your tickets at am950radio.com.
Broadcasting live on AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota, in the evenings on WCPT 820 Chicago's Progressive Talk, and in the nighttime hours in Seattle at KKNW. It is the Matt McNeil Show for your Monday. We're starting off spectacularly here. But Patrick, why don't you describe what I'm trying to do here for everyone in the audience?
We are having an issue with our microphone arm. As Matt went up to move the microphone into position to start the show, it just pulled itself off.
Well,
and sometimes that does happen, unfortunately. That's at least here in the producer studio, sometimes I'll preemptively check the screw just to make sure it's not going to drop off and fall on the board and maybe send out some nasty signals we don't want people to hear. But sometimes life happens.
Well, it's just magical. And I got it fixed because I do know how to screw in a screw. You literally are at the extent of my technical knowledge, though. So just go touch the mic. It's dangling off the thing. Welcome to Halloween week, kids. I've already actually had our guest canceled, too, today. So, yeah, it's just going spectacular. It is. Hope you're having a good time. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. So as of right now, guest free for the entire both hours. So you're more than welcome to line on up. I will say, did you have a nice weekend, Patrick? Was your weekend okay?
Yeah, my weekend was fine. Did you have a good one?
Well, I had a busy one because on Saturday I went to Madison, Wisconsin. Both my girls are down there at the University of Wisconsin. And I kind of miss them. This is my first year being an empty nester, and my two kids are down there. And I had my birthday about a week and a half ago. And so basically it was kind of one of those things like, I miss my kids. And so I drove down and I saw my girls. And that was nice. Although it is a little bit of a haul. I mean, it's not, first world problem sort of thing. I mean, it's, 4 hours down. I was there for about 4 or 5 hours and then drove back that night. Got back kind of late. But and have to drive through. And if you've never driven the route of Interstate 94 through Wisconsin, you get to a point where you just kind of get north of Wisconsin Dells and you're like, where is everybody? I mean, that is a stunningly big, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of people up in that stretch. You go from Wisconsin Dells up to the Twin Cities. There's just, hello. Well, Eau Claire is nice. Eau Claire is actually nice. It's a nice little town. But yeah, who doesn't love Bon Iver? So you got that. And then on Sunday, and here's where the other side of the empty nester thing kicked in. I'm really kind of tired and sore because I had to do all the yard work. It's the upper Midwest. So leaves have to be raked, gutters have to be cleaned, that sort of thing. And I did not have my crew or even just one of my children to put in the more precarious positions of like gutter cleaning. And so, yeah, it ended up being just an absolute delight. And so, yeah, I got done last night. I'm just sore and just tired. And now looking at the rest of the backyard that I spent 4 hours, blowing up leaves and bagging them. And now all of a sudden it's covered with leaves again. Thank God I did that. But hey, that was my weekend. Did you do anything fun this weekend yourself?
I went out with a friend for dinner. He's originally from Toronto, so we watched game 2 of the series on Saturday
Sorry
night.
about that one.
Yeah, went south fairly late. We're like, we're getting out of here.
Now, I hope you whatever you did you had a good week. I will say this, and I want to make sure I get on top of this now, because we have one of those years where Halloween, the trick-or-treaters are going to be out on the Friday or a Saturday night. And I've been doing this radio stuff for 30 plus years now. If that's what you get, you generally will get a lot more kids, a lot busier, a lot later. So anticipate trick-or-treaters starting 5:30, going to 9:30, and lots of kids out in the streets. So just, unfortunately, Halloween on a Friday is a bad combination because you got a lot of people heading out to costumes to go get some drinking on. And of course, you got a lot of kids on the street. So just be careful, plan ahead. Uber, go Uber or get a Lyft or something like that. Just, the best way to go about it. All right. And just be careful out there because once again, they're coming up here on Friday. 952-946-6205. Speaking of which, I got to get Bakken on the air. Greg Bakken hosts a show here on my mothership station here. It's Ghost Box Radio. He's going someplace spooky. I know he's going someplace spooky, and it's not like a Hardee's or something like that. What's really spooky is how much I love those biscuits. That's spooky. No, he's going someplace, and I'm presuming body counts, ghosts, all sorts of things. We don't know if we'll hear back from him. We don't know if there'll be another show come Monday. We don't know. But I'm going to have him on, get us into the Halloween spirit sometime this week on the show, so we can talk about what's the latest happenings in the ghost world. It's June Lockhart died. I saw June Lockhart died. Do we know anything about June Lockhart? Is she haunting anything like the old Lost in Space set or anything like that? I would like to know. These are the little things. So hope you have a good Halloween week. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. So let me start off with, I never cease to get amazed by how low the right can go. And it really is somewhat frustrating to see how truly horrible these people can be. We are, as the government shutdown rolls on, heading towards a case where the SNAP benefits are going to end. And Donald Trump has more than enough money to keep. I mean, he's doing a ballroom on the east side. He's tearing down the entire east side of the White House. He's sent $40 billion down to bribe an election in Argentina. And so he has more than enough money to keep SNAP benefits going. He is just deciding to be cruel for cruel's sake. And there is this element of the right, which their job seems to be to defend even the most indefensible of positions in regards to Donald Trump. We saw it earlier this year when it's clear that Trump's in the Epstein files. I mean, why else are they frantically not wanting those Epstein files not released? Because Trump's name's all over them. In fact, they had to sequester like 1,000 FBI agents to find all the references to Trump in the Epstein files. Yeah. And what did you have? All of a sudden you had Rightos, MAGA people out there screaming about how, is it really that wrong for a grown man to rape a child? And that was their argument. Back 100 years ago, people raped children all the time. Like it was a good thing or something that was socially acceptable, for goodness sakes. But that is where these people are at. And they are at this point where now, with SNAP benefits expiring, MAGA is taking to particularly TikTok and the other social media pages to put out content that basically says all these people getting SNAP benefits are fat and lazy and they don't plan ahead and they're wasting the taxpayer dollars and the heck with them. Don't shed a tear for the SNAP benefits people. Their hunger is fake, unlike the need in Argentina, I guess. It started with Tizzy Ent. If you've not seen his posts, they're very good. He does social media posts where he takes on these right-wing clowns. And it's one person talking as she's eating toast about how you got SNAP benefits in October. Why didn't you stash some of that money away and fill up the old food pantry with your extensive SNAP benefits? The other one is, and this is clearly a rage. It's some sort of fake news outlet that's right-wing extremist. Brittany M. Hughes, where she tries to portray herself as some sort of common sense individual talking about, SNAP benefits, and particularly in let's kind of call it what it is, a bit of a racist tone, and I'm sure she'll try to wrap it in a lot of different things. I'm going to talk about both of these here because we have to talk about this, because we are going to have a lot of people out there that are going to be hungry here fairly quickly. And I want you to be prepared for this, because this is something, once again, when the right has to, their first thing is, what do I have to say to defend Donald Trump? Oh, raping children is okay? Fine, I'll do it. They're out there right now saying, hungry people starving is perfectly okay because they're wasting my taxpayer dollars. That's who they are. And these people claim to be Christian. And you see, this is kind of the core cause for me. And my religious disclaimer, okay? You do or don't do whatever it is you do or don't want to do. I'm Christian. I am. I've talked about it often. I think one of my biggest things that it is the most key for me as an individual is to basically try my hardest to see people get fed. I think hunger is a scourge that we do not need here. And as a Christian, Jesus himself, once again, just not trying to convert anyone, I'm just saying, but as a Christian, one of the main teachings of Jesus was feed people. I mean, for goodness sakes, he just gave everyone bread, fish, and loaves. Just gave everyone, there was no shame hoops they had to jump through. There was no urine tests they had to go through. They didn't have to do any of these things. He just gave them food. And there's a lot of people that are Christian today that do everything in their power to dismiss Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Now, that's the story of Christ. Matthew, if you don't know, in the New Testament, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, that's the story of Christ, his life, the birth, Bethlehem, all that thing, to his crucifixion, to his rise. That's where you find it all. And he has all of his, what has been attributed to him, his teachings, his words, including, take care of the sick, clothe the naked, shelter the homeless, welcome in the stranger, visit the prisoner, and feed the hungry. And there is one thing I want to make sure I say about this. That is something that is not even a debate. He has told you to feed these people, and that is that. And there's a lot of these people who say that they're Christian who will insist, well, he never really meant that. You need to go to Romans or Leviticus or something like this. And the reality is, if you are a Christian, you should believe in Christ. Shouldn't Christ's words matter? And they, of course, how dare you question my religion? No, how dare you take my religion and turn it into your weapon of hate, you horrible hags? What is wrong with you people? Just get them a damn sandwich. I could care less what they're doing. Get them some food. We have enough food to feed the freaking planet, and no one goes hungry. But because of evil people, we have people that are saying, nope, some people need to die of preventable starvation and malnutrition. I got more on this when I come back. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
This job requires a leader to do what's right. It starts by telling the truth and being honest about the problems that we're facing. Mayor Fry has been honest about sharing real solutions. Senator Fateh, not so sure. Mayor Fry is committed to restoring the city's vitality. Minneapolis needs sound, steady, and honest leadership. That's Jacob Fry.
This independent expenditure is paid for by all of Minneapolis. It is not coordinated with or approved by any candidate, nor is any candidate responsible for it.
You have a loved one who is not receiving the care that they deserve at their current memory care facility. I'm Aiden Helene, Director of Community Relations here at the Welshire, and I meet with families every single day who are struggling with poor staffing, missed medications, poor personal cares, and an absence of engagement from consistent activities. 85% of our residents at the Welshire are coming from other memory care facilities that could not meet their care needs. Not all memory care is created equally. And if this is something your family is experiencing, I encourage you to come visit our community of well-being and see the Welshire difference, where we promise that your loved one will live with pride and dignity. The Welshire has 24/7 nursing, a robust activities team that provides activities 7 days a week. And when the diagnosis takes a 9-to-5 approach, so will we. Book a tour at welshiremn.com and see our community of well-being in action. That's welshiremn.com. Again, that's welshiremn.com.
This season, bring the whole family to see Irving Berlin's White Christmas. This smash hit musical based on the classic film returns by popular demand to delight you at Chanhassen dinner theaters. With loads of laughter and a stunning showcase of Irving Berlin songs, White Christmas is a celebration of the romance, friendship, and magic of the holidays. Make your plans today to see White Christmas. Visit chanhassendt.com.
This is Alex Knorr from Buzz Cut Mowing, a young, hardworking entrepreneur serving the Southwest Metro with affordable lawn care. I take the hard work off your plate with weekly mowing. I also offer leaf cleanups, aeration, dethatching, tree trimming, and mulch installation. I'll keep your lawn beautiful so you can enjoy your weekends with the people who matter most. Visit buzzcutmowingmn.com. That's buzzcutmowingmn.com.
Greg Bakken here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. So what has gotten me so fired up about this, because not only are we going to see people that are going hungry, and, it's interesting. We talk about why people go on SNAP, food assistance. And, I mean, there's a lot of reasons, there are a lot of people that are working that cannot afford food. As a matter of fact, was it Walmart? And I could be wrong, but was it Walmart that actually had a program to direct their own employees to apply for food benefits? How crazy is that? The employer who knows they're not paying enough for their own people to be able to live off of is telling them how, here, take advantage of the food aid that's out there. Crazy. There are a lot of people that are working. There's a lot of people with kids. There's a lot of single parents, a lot of single moms who have been thrust into a position where they have to become a full-time worker and take care of kids. There are people who they just can't find a job. There are people that become disabled and injured. They can't work anymore. And there are people that just basically are they're unable to work. And you see, is the thing that's always freaking bothered me about the right, about this issue and about a lot of issues, is they do the same thing all over again, which is they find the one case which is the worst case they can dream of without even really knowing what the situation is, and use that to portray every person getting food aid and then demand that the food aid, you see, this is not a big problem. These are just a bunch of lazy people. Now, the first thing, and once again, Tizzy Ent had the first one. I don't know who this person is. And I'll read this as it goes here. To the people that are complaining that they're not getting their food stamps for November, what did you do with October's food stamp money? As she eats a piece of toast. What did you do? Did you stock up on pantry items and try to shop smartly? Or did you just go buy a bunch of processed garbage? Looks like you're going to be going to the food pantry for your Thanksgiving meal. Ha ha ha! Funny, hilarious Republican stuff, huh? Now, once again, here we have a situation where this is a person who doesn't understand. They're not giving you tons of money for SNAP. You barely can, for most people, can barely get by, especially with the inflation we've seen on the cost of groceries, which, once again, if you didn't listen to the show on Friday, yeah, those inflation numbers are garbage. Inflation is much higher than it is. But here she is talking, now as she eats bread, which, by the way, is processed food, complains that you're all getting processed food. You should have stocked up on the essentials when you had the chance, and now you're going hungry. Ha, ha, ha. You're going to have your Thanksgiving meal from the food pantry. You horrible, horrible human being. Now, once again, the thing about this one is why didn't you not stock up for the long term? that just shows you how little these people know about this. But once again, running out. I mean, this is the same thing as sleeping with 13-year-olds is perfectly fine. It is blind defense of something that they don't know a goddamn thing about. They don't know what is going on with it. They don't. They just go on out there and start criticizing it because it's easy for them as they sit in their house and with their comfortable existence, eating their bread. It's easy for them to take pock shots at people who they feel are beneath them because they're horrible human beings who a priest or a pastor should grab by the nape of the neck and throw out of their church. Just saying. Why didn't you plan ahead? That's not the worst one, though. And go ahead, go find the Tizzy Ent tears that woman to shreds. This Brittany Hughes, this is a TikTok thing. And like I said, I'm hesitant to really post too much about her because it's clearly I think this is intentional rage bait for some sort of quadriary news outlet that's like, we're against lefties, so not exactly fair and balanced. That's just kind of things. And she presents herself as, I'm just a suburban mom. And this is just a common sense talk. And what she does is she shows a video of a black couple going to the grocery store, getting $400 worth of food and showing the receipt for $400 worth of food. Now, a lot of what she is upset about is the food that, well, I mean, first of all, let's just address the black person thing. Once again, this is Republican right-wing reality, and I'll get to this in a little bit here. The majority of people who are getting food assistance in this country are white. It is a conscious decision of the right wing, and it's not even close. It's basically about it's about 12 or 13 points higher than the next group. So the vast majority of people who are getting this are white. So for you to go on out and find video of a black couple and say, look at who's taking all your SNAP benefits, there's just a natural racist tone to that, which is intentional. They're not going to go and show you the white couple in rural America who needs to go get their SNAP benefits because the company laid everybody off and there's just no jobs and they don't have the money to do the grapes of wrath and drive across freaking California. They don't have that money. They are stuck there and there are just no jobs. And they don't want to do that. And the reason why they don't want to show that situation where someone needs SNAP benefits is because they know for white Republican rural America, that will hit too close to home. That is the family I know across the street. That's the family I know down the street. That's the family that my kids go to school with. And they know it does not hit home. So for rural America, rural white MAGA, suburban white MAGA, what they have to do is find a black couple to feature because that will initially kick in MAGA's racist idealisms. And so from the get-go, I'm already pissed off about this little video because, Susie Clan member here, she basically is intentionally using this. Now, I will say that there is an element of this which she seems to be somewhat aghast by the volume of pre-processed food that this family is getting. And once again, this is America today. And I'll share once again a story here, which I've shared multiple times over the years, about when my kids were born. My wife looked at me and she said, I want fresh fruit and vegetables. I want, I want to make food. Now I cook and I like cooking. So that wasn't a problem. The problem was, as I looked at her and I said, okay, you do understand fresh fruit and vegetables is pricey. And she said, yeah, I mean, it's worth it. And so, yeah, we had to make a conscious decision. And yeah, that dinged our grocery bill. The cheapest food by far you find in any grocery store is the pre-processed stuff. By far, it's not even close. And if you're on a fixed budget and you've got to feed a lot of kids, it becomes important that you basically make that budget, go as far as you can. I'll talk more when I come back. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
It's Brad Friedman, host of the Bradcast, weeknights at 7 on AM 950. KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
The independently owned Next Chapter Booksellers is the perfect destination for your next book. The friendly staff at Next Chapter Booksellers are great at making recommendations no matter your age or taste. Plus, they have frequent events including book readings and meet and greets with authors. And they sell more than just books. They have a wide variety of puzzles and games, too. So stop in and browse the store off Snelling and Grand in St. Paul. More at nextchapterbooksellers.com.
Twin Cities Con returns to the Minneapolis Convention Center for their 5th year, November 7th through the 9th. Twin Cities Con is a celebration of comics, toys, TV, film, art, cosplay, games, and all things nerdy. There's nothing like Twin Cities Con. It's also a family-friendly event where you can meet your favorite celebrities, browse the vendor hall and artist alley for the coolest merch, watch celebrity Q&As, and even more. Twin Cities Con is bigger and better than before. Come see from the Star Wars universe Ahmad Best, Rosario Dawson and Giancarlo Esposito, Brendan Fraser, and the cast of The Mummy, WWE Wrestling Hall of Famers Sting and Mick Foley, and the voice actors from the hit Disney series Phineas and Ferb, plus more guests to be announced. 3 days of action-packed fun in the heart of Minneapolis at the Minneapolis Convention Center. Tickets start at $50. Kids tickets are just $10 for the entire weekend. VIP tickets also available, including a 3-day weekend pass, plus some really cool VIP perks. More guests will be announced. Buy your tickets and get more information at TwinCitiesCon.com.
Greg Bakken here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com.
If you go to shoprainbowrd.com, you will find an amazing variety of adult novelties, literally thousands of items that you can peruse in the privacy of your home and have shipped to your door. Plus, in the store, you can find swimwear, casual wear, underwear, everywhere. Rainbow Road is located at 109 West Grant Street near Loring Park. Gift cards are available for the hard to shop for. Go to shoprainbowrd.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Today, sunshine with a high of 60. Then tonight, rain very late with a low of 45. Nightingale is your cozy, comfortable neighborhood bar and restaurant at 26th and Lindale in Minneapolis. Come in for the famous Nightingale burger or the ginger tamari chicken wings. View their menu or place a takeout order at nightingalempls.com. KTNF AM 950, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Broadcasting in the evenings in Chicago on WCPT 820 Chicago's Progressive Talk, and the nighttime hours in Seattle, 11:50 a.m. KKNW, and of course in Minneapolis, St. Paul on AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota. It is the Matt McNeil Show for your Monday. Nice to have you here once again, a Halloween week. So I want to get back to this because once again, now this is the new trend, and this kind of really infuriates me of these MAGA Trump trolls that are out there basically saying, food stamps are not this. These people have just chosen to be hungry, and we should stop feeding them. And I went through the first one where she was like, "Why did you stock up with your SNAP benefits?" Which just it's people like that. I am not a violent person, but I just want to, how big of a 2x4 would it take to smack some sense into that person's head? I mean, how much? Food stamps, it's food assistance. You're not stocking up like you're going to go down into the bunker in the 1950s, for God's sakes. This other person, this Brittany person, she posts this video once again of black people getting, food assistance, and they go through and they show what she's doing and what they're buying. And once again, it's a lot of pre-processed foods, which the scariest part is that is the food that is the cheapest. And her whole argument is basically, don't feel bad for these people because look at this, $400. They're wasting all this money. It's all processed foods. And, her argument, and this will come up, and I'll come back to this in a second. Her argument, her solution for this actually would be phenomenally more expensive. And I'll get to that here in a second. But first of all, I want to start off with, once again, the point about this, the fact that the majority of people who get food stamps are white. White. That's right. 36% are kids under the age of 18. It's by far the largest demographic is children under the age of 18. It's 36% of the people getting food stamps are in that age group. Household participation of SNAP is higher in rural areas than in urban ones. For example, one study found that in rural counties, 16% of households participated, while on average in urban areas, metropolitan areas, it's 13%. So if I was to make a demographic of who is getting SNAP benefits, it would be a white rural individual with children. That is the most common makeup of people getting SNAP benefits. Rural white with children. Which is, once again, kind of interesting that the Republicans and MAGA, every time they want to vilify something, here comes a black person. That's what they do. They do it all the time. Now, there's also, and there is just also a massive level of intentional ignorance when it comes to these individuals. You don't know anything about this couple. You don't know, are they in a situation where they can't find a job or someone's been disabled? You don't know if they are dealing with one or two children who are special needs and they take a lot of their resources. You don't know a damn thing about them, but you sure can criticize them. It was funny because I watched this video, and yes, I will be the first to say there is a lot of pre-processed food in that shopping cart. But I got to tell you, for the amount of money that they spent, they got a lot of food. And if their goal is to work and try to take care of a family member, I don't know. I can't say for sure. But they actually made this last. The mentality that you come across from this individual who put this video out clearly is that they're just basically sitting on their chaise lounge having their bonbons all day long, expecting us to feed them beef Wellington. How dare they? I don't know their circumstances. But I will say this. The vast majority of people that are on SNAP don't want to be on SNAP. That's another lie you guys want to keep perpetuating, is that people want to just sit back and get on the gravy train. No, they don't. I presume, and I would say I'm going to be right most of the time, that most of the people who are on SNAP are there because of circumstances well beyond of their control. And it's one of those things, too, where you look down, and I took some time today to look down at the demographic breakdown of individuals, and you have people on SNAP that have advanced college degrees, stuff like that. I mean, there is not really any specific way you can categorize this, which once again, it goes back to the original sin of this woman. Let's get black people so all the white people who are racist will think I'm right. Because that's kind of what they do. Because once again, they don't want to put out the image of the rural white family going to get SNAP benefits, because that's going to hit way too close to home for a lot of MAGA. So I don't know what this couple does. I don't know why their circumstances are there. I hope them all the best. Get my whole mentality kicks back in. Get them a sandwich, and we can try to solve the problem after that. All right? At no point, they also do not put forward how many people they're shopping for. The implication is that it's just for them, which I'm pretty sure that's not the case. That it's probably for multiple kids and stuff. At least it sure looks like it from the food that's in the cart. So here's another person that's like, oh, look, they're wasting $400. Well, if that's for 6 kids or 5 kids and 2 adults, that's not a lot of money. And once again, I'll go back to what I saw, which was parents who were able to maximize their budget and get a lot of food that might not be the best food, but it was food. I will say it is hard to see how much Americans do eat the pre-processed foods. And hey, I am just as much of a bit of a trash pan to myself. When I drove down to Madison and back, yeah, I did not eat the best on that day. I will be the first to say. Pre-processed, hello there. Hardee's. Have we gotten a call from Hardee's yet just saying, tell Matt to take our store out of his mouth? Not yet? Okay. Let me know. And if they do call, get me a biscuit, will you? I mean, those biscuits are fantastic.
We'll take biscuit bribes for you to stop talking.
Biscuit bribes, Hardee's. Pay up. It goes higher the longer you wait. Thank you, Michael Palin. Pre-processed food is not good. As a matter of fact, and I posted, and it was part of the Friday link years ago, and God, it still is one of the best videos I ever saw. It was from the BBC, and they talked about, pre-processed and how much we have changed our diets over the last 20, 25 years, and that we eat a tremendous amount of pre-processed foods. She says, her argument is you should get a predetermined box of food that includes flour, sugar, meats, fruits and vegetables, bread and butter sort of thing. And that you should make your own food. I can already tell you right now, to fill up that same grocery cart with fresh fruits and vegetables and fresh meats would be probably at least half, if not twice, not twice as much, at least half as much more than it would. It wouldn't be $400, it'd be $600 if you're filling up a grocery cart with fruits and vegetables and meats. If your whole thing is they're wasting my taxpayer dollars getting pre-processed food, well, then if you're saying you want fresh fruits and vegetables and fresh meats, then basically what you're doing is dramatically increasing the costs that are associated. Now, I am not against that. I will say this is the one thing that I would love. I love it when I read stories that some states have SNAP benefits available for farmers markets. I think that that's fantastic because generally the fruits and vegetables are cheaper there. I have really no problem with it. I think that that's a good thing. Getting more fruits and vegetables, but her tone is more, you're wasting my taxpayer dollars. So for her to sit there and say, get them fresh fruit and vegetables is, that kind of contradicts her argument of you're wasting my taxpayer dollars, because you're basically saying you're wasting my taxpayer dollars feeding people. There is also a thing here, and we've run into this before, and it's been a long time since I've had a freaking Republican stupid enough to even go down this road of the whole, starve them, they deserve it, or give them a cup of sugar and a cup of flour and tell them to get through for the week. There is a presumption that you are making that everyone knows how to cook and has the facilities and pots and pans to cook. And that is not a fair assessment. That is not a fair assessment. I have often on this show talked about whether or not cooking itself will become something of, going back to ye old Yorktown to see, my gosh, look, they're working the dough with their hands. I cook regularly. I do. I cook regularly. I made kebabs last night. I'm going to make a chicken salad tonight. Not chicken salad, but a salad with chicken on it. It's, I make my own food. I don't like to bake. And if you had me trying to start making breads and stuff like that, it would take a while for me to get used to doing that. And the entire point of SNAP is not to turn it into a long-term outlet. In some cases with people who are disabled and, unable to work, it's, fine. If that's the case, then if that's what we have to do to keep humanity rolling, well, by all means, we should do it. But for most people, it's supposed to be a temporary thing. So all of a sudden they're supposed to become freaking Gordon Ramsay and whipping up the, loaves of bread like it's a bakery. What are you talking about? Many people don't even have the cooking stuff to make breads and croissants and danishes. I mean, that's another thing where it just shows you this is just a narrative that she has created to basically vilify Black people and anyone getting benefits as a whole, because it's all of a sudden, well, you all should be ready to cook tomorrow if you have to. Fewer and fewer people cook. And even if they do cook, do they have the stoves and the ovens or a microwave? Do they have all the baking stuff they have? Do they have one baking dish, 2 spoons, 1 baking sheet, and that's it? But there are 2 other things here I want to just, if I can. First of all, you guys on the right, weren't you the same people? I mean, if your whole argument seems to be, look at her eat all the pre-processed food. Wait a second. You were the same people that in 2021 were screaming about ripping people's masks off their faces, that vaccines were a myth, that was just a trick so that the guy from Facebook could get a microchip in every one of us, that we're all going to get magnetized, and that we had to get rid of social distancing and open up every sports bar so that you could go get your chicken fingers and chicken wings and your double cheese bacon cheeseburger with an extra side of fries and your pitcher of beer, healthy eating, and catch your favorite sports team in the sports bar. You forgive me if I do not take any healthcare advice from you, the clown car of, my God, what are you thinking about? You guys are not healthy. But it's this idea, and these people claim to be Christian, and it's a direct teaching of Jesus. These are the people, I think, would this woman walk up to Jesus and say, hey, Jesus, okay, I'm okay with the fish as long as it's not a pricier cut, but bread, processed bread, you're giving them bread. You should be giving them a cup of flour and telling them to go bake something up themselves. That is the craziest part of this whole thing. And frankly, if I may make a little comment to the religious leaders of this country, do you see what they're doing to your religion? I get it. Some of you guys have been seduced by the power of Trump and Republicans. And so you've sold out your own religion so that you can have a seat at the table. Fine. But do you see the mockery they are making of your faith at this point, when they're sitting there saying, fat people don't deserve food, blah, blah, blah. Why didn't you plan ahead? The meanness that you have gotten to bed with, the unfathomable, horrible people that you have joined arm in arm with. Don't you see this? You have a responsibility at this point to basically say to them, you know what? No. And until I think our society does doing this in whole, this is going to get worse. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
Greg Bakken here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh, every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
It's not too early to start your Thanksgiving preparations. Ferndale Market is now taking reservations for their fresh, never frozen turkeys, raised free range and without antibiotics on the Peterson family's 3rd-generation farm in Cannon Falls. Ferndale Market turkeys are the perfect centerpiece for your holiday meal. A fresh turkey means no thawing hassle, faster cooking time, and the peace of mind knowing it's been raised naturally, just the way Fern and Del Peterson envisioned back in 1939 when they started the farm. You can pick up your turkey just days before Thanksgiving on their on-farm market and have some fun during Turkey Fest, or find Ferndale Market turkeys at natural food stores across the Midwest. Ferndale Market's commitment to quality has been passed down through the generations, ensuring that you get the best turkey for your table. Don't wait. Reserve your turkey today at ferndalemarket.com or use their website to find a retail partner near near you. Make this Thanksgiving special with a farm fresh turkey from Ferndale Market.
Hi, I'm Rachel Shamblatt. My dad is Dr. Scott Shamblatt from Shamblatt Family Dentistry. A lot of people are afraid of the dentist, but you don't have to be. My dad makes going to the dentist comfortable and even fun. He won't be mad if you haven't seen a dentist in a long time. He just wants to take care of you and your teeth. If you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
Shamblatt Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblattfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
When was the last time you had your roof inspected for extreme weather and hail damage? This is Chad, owner of AM 950, to talk about the exterior construction company I trust, Snap Construction. If you've noticed new roofing projects in your neighborhood, your home was likely hit by hail last summer and experienced damage. Snap Construction is helping homeowners like you, and they're the roofing specialists I trust. They are the most well-reviewed contractor in the Twin Cities and have a ton of positive customer reviews from homeowners just like you. Even better, Snap Construction's installations are backed by a lifetime warranty, so you know you're dealing with a qualified roofing expert. You want to work with a company that will be here for a long time after the work is done. Snap Construction has handled thousands of claims and will help you through the process. Do yourself a favor and get a free roofing inspection so you have the facts and peace of mind you deserve. Call Snap Construction today at 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP, or visit snapconstruction.com.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. I'm going to talk about this more in the next hour because, I mean, obviously in Minnesota here, we're doing a few things. Governor Walz is stepping up today. But, Patrick, you actually brought up a very good point. But this whole concept that these reddos like to say is like, we'll give you some flour and some sugar and some meat and some vegetables. You have to make all your own food. There's a pretty big problem with that.
Yeah, obviously some people that might have diabetes or food allergies or other kind of conditions that you can't just give somebody a box of food. They might not be able to eat some of what's in it.
Exactly. This whole attack is one thing and one thing only. It's to dehumanize other human beings, primarily black people and the disabled. And once again, can we put out the big freaking red flags and the sirens about how many people associated with Trump and MAGA and that White House and all the MAGA people out there that seem to be getting to the point of, well, the disabled are not really full humans. We don't need to really take care of them. I'm really starting to get bothered by that. Really bothered, because that is something we have seen played out in history before. Pew researched on this. The largest among a group of children that get SNAP benefits are single mother. 45.5% of all people who get SNAP benefits of children 18 and under, children 18 and under, are with a single mother. It's the largest group. So yeah, if you're looking at the traditional SNAP benefit recipient, it's a white woman, single mother in rural America with children. But once again, Republicans don't want to put out that image because it might, hey, wait a second here, that looks like my neighbor. So it has to become black people so that they can go down racist row. So tired of this. So tired. These are other human beings. And of course, these are the people that if, God forbid, actually something bad happened to them, they'd be, where's my help? I'm trying to help all people, including you, if God forbid you get into a problem. But I mean, it's only going to be your soul that goes when they have to answer the question of why you vilified the hungry and the needy and the disabled and children who are hungry, why you vilified them, why when you needed help, all of a sudden you're a priority. I mean, I'll tell you what, the least Christian people I know right now are the far-right Christians. I'm sorry. I just don't get this. He repeatedly tells you to feed the hungry. And you guys keep coming out with this content and this idea. And then Donald Trump is Jesus reincarnate. No, he's not. Maybe Jesus was mentioned when he was born. Jesus, that one of those things. Dear Lord, what's that? That's my maybe. 952-946-6205. Speaking of Donald Trump, is he having more health problems? Well, actually, he kind of is. Trump revealed a surprise medical visit while on Air Force One on his way to Japan, called the MRI scan he received perfect. At 79-year-old, Trump is the second oldest person to ever hold the office, behind only former President Joe Biden, with questions having been raised about his health and photographs of his hands and ankles and cankles and swelling. And yeah, he's not doing well. Trump's most recent visit, an MRI scan, was done on October 10th. His second exam since taking office in January. The White House described the visit as routine. Dr. Jennifer Reiner from CNN said there's nothing routine about receiving an MRI scan, adding that Trump's refusal to elaborate on what the visit only degraded trust among Americans. The big question is, what prompted this MRI, Reiner said. What symptoms were they concerned about? What particular type of MRI was performed? Was it a brain MRI? Was it a cardiac MRI? Was it an MRI of the spine or of his prostate? What prompted the concern that would take him in a relatively unscheduled way to Walter Reed for testing? Why won't they tell us exactly why he was tested, what he was tested was performed, and the results? I think about that. There's generally no trust. Just tell the public what's going on with the president. Once again, I want to remind everybody, if this was a Democratic president, every Republican would be slamming a hand on a podium demanding a full breakdown. My God, Joe Biden is far more forthright today out of office with his medical conditions than Donald Trump is. But reminder, this is a world where we have two sets of rules now. And the Republicans just don't want to, they want everyone else to bend to their will. California Governor Gavin Newsom took a swing Monday at President Trump about health claims. And there's another thing in here. And I want to say there's something else that's mentioned here, which once again, yeah, I'm wondering if, remember when he was talking about those MRIs? Is it the brain MRI that they're doing? Most people don't take that many cognitive tests unless a doctor is worried, adding the recent jabs at the president's cognitive and physical health. Trump, 79, announced during a flight on Air Force One that he was recently at Walter Reed. He also had an aptitude test. Newsom isn't afraid to said the quiet part out loud and responded that the test reportedly says, asked Trump to sketch a clock, recognize animal photos, and repeat 5 words in a list. The exam is apparently designed to detect mild cognitive impairment as early as possible. It's not used in any way to measure IQ or intelligence. Trump then challenged Democratic Representatives Jasmine Crockett and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to take the same exam. He also admitted that he struggled with it. Have them pass the exams that I decided to take when I was at Walter Reed. Those were very hard. They're really aptitude tests, I guess, in a certain way. But they're cognitive tests. Let AOC go against Trump. Let Jasmine go against Trump. I don't think they'll have too much problem here. Newsom responded to Trump's Truth Social post over the weekend. He landed in Malaysia about how pregnant women should avoid Tylenol. Wouldn't be taking medical advice from someone who can't spell hepatitis and looks like this, posting a photo of Trump taking off his suit jacket. Yikes. So my dad, who passed away a few years ago, had a stroke before he passed away, and I went down to South Carolina to spend some time with him. And I was there. I was going with him to some of his testing and stuff like this. And you know, the stroke did not show any kind of mental degradation, but I watched him take one of these tests, these aptitude tests, and this is not hard in any capacity. I mean, it's like, is that an elephant? Yes, it is. All right. Do you know what month it is? Yes, I do. If Trump himself is saying he's struggling with this, yeah, he's not good, man. He is definitely not good. Chicago, Seattle, talk to you tomorrow. Minneapolis, St. Paul, hour 2 up next.
In 1979, Paul Metza moved from the Iron Range to Minneapolis to begin his musical life.
after a decorated career, multiple albums and books, over 5,000 live shows, including appearing at Farm Aid, 8 Minnesota Music Awards, and over 11 years hosting the Walla Power Radio Hour on AM 950, the man described as Minnesota's other great Iron Rain songwriter is celebrating his 70th birthday, and you're invited. It's Songs of Resistance and Resolve, Paul Metz's 70th birthday and CD release party, Sunday, November 2nd at the Astor House in St. Anthony, Maine at 7 p.m. Paul has helped with hundreds of benefits over the years for progressive causes and people in need, and this show is a benefit for AM 950. He'll be joined by his Cats Under the Stars trio, Sonny Earl, Mary Harris, and his new Duluth-based backup singers, the Tilt Town Titanettes. Tickets start at $25, and there's a front row meet and greet option. Come early to enjoy the delicious Astor House menu, and make sure you pick up Paul's new 12-song CD. Sunday, November 2nd, it's Songs of Resistance and Resolve, Paul Metz's 70th birthday and CD release party at Astor House in St. Anthony, Maine. Tickets are available at AstorHouseMPLS.com. Come see the trained chimp. It's the Matt McNeil Show, 3 to 5 p.m. weekday afternoons, right here on AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
AP News, I'm Haya Panjwani. House Speaker Mike Johnson is doubling down on the need for better policy for healthcare as the government shutdown continues.
If you look at it objectively, you know that it is subsidizing bad policy. We're throwing good money at a bad, broken system, and so it needs real reforms. The reason it was never appropriate or never possible to be resolved on a simple CR, stopgap funding measure, is because it's very complicated to fix. But Republicans have a long list of ideas.
AP correspondent Marcela Sanchez reports on another Republican governor following President Trump's call to redraw congressional maps.
Indiana Republican Governor Mike Braun has called a special session for lawmakers to redraw congressional districts. President Trump has ramped up pressure on Republican governors to give the party an easier path to maintain control of the U.S. House. Republicans in Texas and Missouri moved quickly, and California Democrats responded with their own redistricting plan. Republicans hold a supermajority in both chambers. Opponents are expected to challenge any new maps in court. I'm Marcela Sanchez.
Russia is defending its test of a nuclear-powered missile, which it claims cannot be stopped by air defenses. The AP's Sagar Meghani.
7 years after revealing work on the missile, Vladimir Putin announced a test yesterday of what NATO has codenamed Skyfall. That came after tough U.S. sanctions on Russia's energy sectors and new European commitments of military aid for Ukraine. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov says the test shows Russia's ensuring its own security. But President Trump's blasting the announcement.
I don't think it's an appropriate thing for Putin to be saying either.
Saying the Russian leader should be focused on ending the war.
That's what he ought to do instead of testing missiles.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
This is AP News.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with a Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com and get ready for the work.
Peace of mind shouldn't cost a fortune. We keep things simple at Schroman Law because we believe planning for your estate and end-of-life care shouldn't be stressful or expensive. Every client relationship starts with a free consultation so clients have the information they need before making important decisions. From there, we work closely with clients to ensure they are choosing the most efficient and cost-effective plans for their specific needs. Schedule a free consultation today at schromanlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. October is here, so Halloween is right around the corner. And if you're thinking of having a horror movie marathon with friends, you better make sure your home doesn't look like something out of one of those movies. Don't ghost your carpet this fall. My cleaning heroes at Zero Res can help get all those spooky smells and creepy stains out of your home. Carpet, tile, rugs, upholstery, hardwood, any surface in your home can be Zero Resified. Right now, you can get your entire home Zero Resified from Minnesota's ultimate carpet cleaner, with 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $129. But there's something even scarier than ghosts and goblins hiding in your home, and it's in your air ducts. This month, take 15% off your air duct and dryer vent cleaning service. Don't let a missed deal haunt you. Call 9520-RES or go to ZeroResMinnesota.com today and ask for the AM 950 special. Back order forward spells the same. Zero Res. With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Today, sunshine with a high of 60, then tonight, rain very late with a low of 45. Celebrate Minnesota music legend Paul Metz's 70th birthday with a special benefit for AM 950 this Sunday at the Astor House in Minneapolis. The show starts at 7 p.m. Get your tickets at am950radio.com. Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hour number 2 of the show here on your Monday. Good to have you with us here today. Matt and Patrick here. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205 is the phone number. I want to start off, though, Patrick. So I took some... I've been... I don't want to say fighting, but definitely having a more heated discussion with some people off of something I posted on Friday, which was we just had the guy that attempted to carjack somebody here in town and shot somebody in the stomach, attempted murder. He did not kill the guy, did some damage. And he was sentenced to jail, 17-year-old kid, sentenced to jail, black kid, and he was sentenced to jail for 9 years, okay? And at the same time, I brought up the fact that there was and this was in southern Minnesota, a drinking and driving incident where a guy kills a person walking down the street with his car, drinking and driving, and got 210 days. Okay. And okay, wait a second here. You have somebody who killed somebody with their car and they get 210 days. You have somebody who attempted to kill somebody in a robbery and they get 9 years. And I've had a lot of people try to make an argument with me. Well, that's fair because booze. And that's kind of the entire argument. You know, they were drunk, so you really can't hold them accountable for their actions in any kind of legitimate way because booze. I'm Patrick, I am somewhat stunned at this reaction because once again, to my knowledge, no one is forcing anyone to drink anything. That is a personal choice. That is their own actions, correct?
I totally agree with that.
I'm not saying that the person who tried to kill somebody should be be sentenced for less. I mean, I think 9 years is an appropriate amount of time. But my God, I mean, you had the case in Pine County where the guy killed 3 people in a car and he got 2 years. Come on, stop making excuses for drunk driving. And when people are dying, stop making excuses for it. The reason we do this, and this kind of goes back to what I was talking about last hour with this MAGA dolt out there trying to basically use black people to vilify SNAP recipients. It's the most of the people that are getting, I think most of the people that get pulled over for DUI, drunk driving, are white people. And so henceforth, there's got to be a way to negate that down. It's not really that serious. Sure, there's some dead people, but come on. It was 2 for 1 night. And I don't quite know. We are not going to ever solve the drinking and driving problem in this country as long as the punishment for this behavior is frankly non-existent. I just don't know what I mean. And yes, Patrick, I don't know if you heard, I got hit by a drunk driver in a car. I know that's breaking news. It happened. I've got a little bit of a bias towards me. Forgive me for that.
No, it's totally understandable. I mean, I agree with you. I think in general, society just doesn't take drinking and driving all that seriously. I think it's just because so many people do it. And, oh, I got away with it. Nothing bad happened. And I know plenty of people personally who have admitted to doing it. And so my point is that I just don't think we take it seriously.
I don't think we do either. And I had a lot of people kind of point out to me that, well, the person pulled a gun with intent to try to kill somebody. Well, what do you think when somebody, and I believe the individual who was initially tested at, he was like 0.16, and that was like an hour after the accident. He'd actually driven to another bar and then drove back to the scene, and he was still at initially, his initial test was like 0.16. How do you not factor intent in there when somebody has alcohol and then willingly and knowingly gets behind the wheel of a car? I mean, we saw this over at Park Tavern. You just know they try to kill somebody. And I think that the longer the crime here is not the punishment on other crimes. The crime here is that you wonder why we have such a recurring drinking and driving problem. Well, when somebody murders somebody with their car because they were sloshed to the gills, they're out on the street in a few weeks, ready to go drink again. And I think we have to start having a legit discussion. I mean, this is a chronic problem. And maybe it's, well, I mean, how much do you think, I mean, someone brought this point up, Patrick. What do you think? In the 50s and 60s and 70s, there was this romanticizing of the drunk. You know what I mean? Like the guy from Mayberry and Andy Griffith's show. It's like, hey, he just is out having fun. He's just going to sleep it off here in the cell, which is basically his second home. I think that there's part of that. That's the deal. Is that, or you grow up, I grew up in my generation. We'd go up to the cabin and it'd be knocking back the booze. That would be it. I don't know. I think that, well, I'll give you another example of this. If you ever go back, you want to watch something that is just stunning historically, go back and watch the news coverage that basically said you could no longer have an open beer can in the car while you drove. And the incensed nature of people saying, I get off, because these guys, and it was the one news story I saw, I think it was out of Pennsylvania. And these guys get out of the factory and out in their car, they've got a cooler of beer ready to go. And the whistle blows at 5 o'clock and they're cracking open the beers in the parking lot to drive home with a nice cold one before they get home. All right. Yeah. I mean, I think if you are working so hard to basically say a person who knowingly drank a lot of alcohol, got behind the wheel of a car, and then killed somebody is a bad guy, but not as bad as a bad guy, I think you just don't understand how broken you are. I just don't think you understand. Your logic circuits have disconnected. And maybe and Patrick does bring up a good point. Maybe it's just a case where people are, I've driven drunk. Should I be shucked in jail? Well, I will tell you this, in Europe, when I was in Germany, Germany, known for its drinkers, just breaking news, they've got beer there. I knew a lot of Germans, still do today, know a lot of Germans from Germany from my time when I was there. They would never drink and drive. They would never drink and drive. And the reason why is because if you get caught drinking and driving, that's your driver's license. Now, over there, to get your driver's license, it's actually quite expensive. It's, $8,000, $9,000. You have to, it's like a year of driver's training. It is a very expensive thing to get a driver's license. And if you get caught drinking and driving, your license is gone. So it was stunning over there. I mean, the consequences were much harsher. And they didn't, and even though there are bars and pubs everywhere in Europe, you didn't see nearly the drinking and driving that you saw here. So,
but I mean, you go through any news roundup on Monday morning and you have, this person got their 5th, 6th, 7th DUI. Just, that's a weekly thing in our news cycle.
We are so diverse with drinking and driving. I mean, we get, that same thing Monday morning. 2 ATV accidents where somebody died because some dude was driving an ATV at 70 freaking miles an hour on some rutted out road in the middle of nowhere with a nephew on board, and he rolled the damn thing. Yeah. And don't get me into, gosh, like I said, I'll never forget the winter I spent in Bemidji. And I was working at a radio station up there. And to watch the people, because there would be these bars out in the middle of nowhere, and I couldn't figure out why were these bars out in the middle of nowhere. And then the snow fell, and they were all in the snowmobile trails. And these snowmobiles would come into these bars, and they'd be schnockered to the gills when they'd walk in. They could barely stand. They're stumbling in, getting 2 more drinks, and then heading back out on a snowmobile that can whip through the woods. We don't take it seriously because we're just having some fun. 952-946-6205. I mean, I can't help you. I mean, I can understand you might not like me going down that road. I can, to a point. I mean, because it might hit home for you, or you might be kind of like, hey, I had a DUI and stuff. If you get to a point where you kill somebody because you've been schnockered to the gills in a car, we need to treat that a little more seriously than, well, have you promised not to do it again? Just think about the victims here. We always think about the victims when it's someone in the city shooting somebody or trying to carjack somebody. We always think about the victims here, but when it's a DUI, you freaking rarely think about the victims. And that is a problem. 952-946-6205. So, a story out of Northern Mass. Okay. Sometimes online dating works, sometimes not so much. A man has been charged with attempting to strike a Minnesota woman with his car after they had met on their first date. Yikes. The incident unfolded on October 21st in my stomping grounds, Virginia, Minnesota, on the Iron Range up there, don't you know? Oh, cripes, yeah. With the victim telling police that she had met Alexander Dennis Jr., 33-year-old, for the first time after they'd been chatting on Facebook. How nice. Dennis, who the complaint states is from Indiana but appears to be residing in Illinois at the time of his arrest, drove to the Iron Range to meet with the victim. And they initially had their date at Tommy Rainey's Lake Saloon, Tommy's Rainy Lake Saloon in downtown Virginia. I have been in there multiple times. It has not a bad menu. Go check it out. It was there, the charges say, that Dennis began to get upset. The woman told police that after the bar, the pair were supposed to go to her house, but she became concerned when Dennis drove past her house and went to the local Lucky 7 store. Been there. Well, there's like 3 up there, so I don't know which one they went to, but I've been to all 3. So when the woman tried to get out, Dennis allegedly grabbed her by the shoulders and yanked her back in the vehicle. She was eventually able to get out of the car and started walking along the sidewalk near Lucky 7. At this point, Dennis allegedly drove the car onto the curb towards the victim. Yikes. As the woman continued to walk away, Dennis once again allegedly swerved his car towards her. The victim called 911 and police found Dennis driving in the city, at which point he fled at speeds at around 80 miles an hour. His car, which was reportedly stolen out of Indiana, was found abandoned a short time later. Where are you going? Okay, wait. Where are you going? You're in Virginia, Minnesota. You gonna go out and live in the wild? What are you gonna do? I'll make a run for it. Good thinking. Tell us when you get to Aurora. Okay. How are things in Hoyt Lakes? Officers did find him nearby at the Target parking lot. He refused to speak with police at the scene. The charges state he's been charged with second-degree assault with a dangerous weapon, fleeing police, and receiving stolen property. Yeah, that's amore. There you go. Some love in the air there. Dear Lord. That's my favorite part is he gets out of the car and runs. Where are you going? It's like running. You're going to take to the wilderness? Sure. One final story, and once again, if it's in case you've missed the point with me, I don't like people threatening other people. I'm not a big fan of that. It's one of the main reasons I'm not a Republican right now, because trust me, there's a lot of them that like to threaten and intimidate and propose violence and stuff like that. There's a lot of them on the right. But occasionally you get people on the left too that are that stupid, and I'm going to call this person out. A self-described anarchist tried to pay $45,000 to have a hitman kill Attorney General Pam Bondi. Tyler Avalos, 29 of Minnesota, apparently he's in St. Paul, shared a thread on TikTok that he wanted Bondi dead or alive, but preferably dead. The tip came in from Detroit October 9th, according to the report, which led investigators to his TikTok page. One post features Bondi's photos would appear to be a sniper's red dot on her forehead. The suspect wrote a comment saying, "Cough, cough. When you don't serve us, then what?" The affidavit said. Alvaro has a criminal history that includes convictions for stalking and domestic battery. Furthermore, he was involved in another misdemeanor battery case that stemmed from a felony domestic assault by strangulation, according to the report. Yikes. Okay. Yes, I think a lot of people are kind of frustrated by how things are going in this country. Not the happiest times in America's history, not at all. But you start stooping down to the violence level. You come on, stop it. That is, let's face it, tyranny wins if you get down to that level. So stop it. Don't threaten people. And this guy, he throw the book at him. I mean, it's just, I just don't understand. You cannot get so caught up, particularly if I can say this, online, because I'm going to guarantee my guess is this individual didn't do a lot of social interacting with people outside of online. And you get caught up in this online world and you see this crazy, insane stuff that's there. And it sometimes basically convinces you that something you shouldn't ever get into, something that you should never do, is something that you should. You're wrong. Prosecute them and stop it. For God's sakes, stop it. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. I promised last hour we're going to talk a lot about the SNAP program here, because Governor Walz is doing what Governor Walz does. He's stepping up in a crisis and he's doing a good job. We'll talk about that, as right now a lot of Minnesotans might be going hungry here. We'll talk about that when we do come back. It is the Matt McNeil Show.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. We have families waiting for a car. Over 85% of unemployed are successful in finding and keeping a job if they have dependable transportation. A car plus a job equals a life changed. 612-919-5526. We have families waiting for a car. 919-5526 or autotech.org.
Greg Bakken here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com.
When was the last time you had your roof inspected for extreme weather and hail damage? This is Chad, owner of AM 950, to talk about the exterior construction company I trust, Snap Construction. If you've noticed new roofing projects in your neighborhood, your home was likely hit by hail last summer and experienced damage. Snap Construction is helping homeowners like you, and they're the roofing specialists I trust. They are the most well-reviewed contractor in the Twin Cities and have a ton of positive customer reviews from homeowners just like you. Even better, Snap Construction's installations are backed by a lifetime warranty, so you know you're dealing with a qualified roofing expert. You want to work with a company that will be here for a long time after the work is done. Snap Construction has handled thousands of claims and will help you through the process. Do yourself a favor and get a free roofing inspection so you have the facts and peace of mind you deserve. Call Snap Construction today at 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP or visit snapconstruction.com.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526, 612-919-5526, or autotech.org.
On Saturday, November 15th, One Voice Mixed Chorus presents the concert Protest Lines, a concert and community sing at the O'Shaughnessy Auditorium. Hear the chorus perform powerful music of protest and then join them as they teach you songs to take to the streets. This is a true community sing-in for the times we are enduring. Go to onevoicemn.org to buy tickets, onevoicemn.org.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. All right. So once again, I want to reiterate some things from the first hour. Feeding people is a main core principle of mine. I mean, we should not have hungry people on this planet. We have more than enough food. And the fact that we don't have enough food for everybody tells you there's just people that are preventing people from getting food. And we even here have had through politicians, including politicians from the right, who have in the past championed food assistance to the needy. We have built up some programs here in this country which have been pretty good at feeding people. Now, a reminder too that Republicans will always, if there's 100 people getting fed through a SNAP program, they'll find the one person who they can basically vilify and use that one person, probably a black person, to basically say, we should stop this. Look, a black person's getting these benefits. And that's kind of what they do. That's modern republicanism. The reality is that the vast majority of people that are on these programs need them. And we feed a lot of people who would go hungry without them. And I do not want to go back. You go back to the 1900s, 1910s, 1920s, and the 1930s, and you see the people literally starving in the streets, man. It's just, we should not be like that. And so get them a sandwich. Get them a freaking sandwich. We'll figure out what else we need to do later. All right? All right. I want to also reiterate that the primary recipient of a SNAP benefit in this country is a white single mother with children in rural America. It's not, as Republicans will insist, black people. And because that's what they do, it is a white, the most common recipient of a SNAP benefit is a white single mother in rural America. 42 million Americans are days away from losing SNAP nutritional assistance program benefits, including more than 1.1 million people in Minnesota and Wisconsin. The U.S. Department of Agriculture, Food and Nutrition Services recently notified states that the government shutdown continues. There'll be insufficient funds to pay full November SNAP benefits. Once again, money for destroying the East Wing of the White House, money for Argentina, $40 billion for Argentina at the drop of a hat. But money for farmers, money for people who are in food assistance, nope, not at all. More than 440,000 Minnesotans, roughly 8% of the state population, uses SNAP benefits. In Wisconsin, nearly 700,000 people, or 12% of the state's population, rely on SNAP benefits through the state's food share program. Open Cupboard Executive Director Jessica Francis was at the Oakdale Today's Harvest Free Market location on Saturday. Francis is also a board member for the St. Croix Valley Food Bank. It has felt like at the beginning of the pandemic, Francis said. Volunteers have already been serving 450 to 600 people a day here, she said, adding they're noticing a rise recently, including more first-time visitors. We are already over the last few weeks starting to see families that are affected by the shutdown. Families that are either furloughed or they still work. They're still working but not getting paid. Francis said, which is also a bit of a problem. You do have quite a few people with this government shutdown who are not getting paid. And I mean, there's a lot of things we can talk about with this, and just the fact that there's a lot of people that just don't have any money, reserves, and so if something like that, you're not getting paid, all of a sudden that becomes a bigger problem. I'll never forget, and this was, gosh, I can't remember exactly. This was back a while back. This was probably before I started working here at AM 950. There was I think there might have been a government shutdown. They were talking about government food benefits, and I think the Republicans were trying to cut them all. And this, kind of one of those early MAGA attempts, Tea Party, probably back then. And there was a guy on one of the food shelves. One of the managers of the food shelf says, "Okay, because the mentality was what the Republicans were saying was that we don't need to pay for food. There are churches and charitable groups; they'll pick up the slack." And this guy, somewhat laughing, I think, out of hilarity of that statement, but as well also, I think, a little bit terrified too, made the point that if the federal government doesn't have SNAP benefits, that pretty much every food shelf and every church pantry will be empty within 1 week. Now, that was a while back. I don't know if things have changed dramatically, but I can tell you right now, it's not going to be many weeks before pretty much every food pantry, food charity, every church group that's handing out food will be out of it, and fast. And when you get down to there's a few pantries left that have it, the crowds that are going to show up at those pantries are going to be, yeah. And this is Republican policy now. Starving people is now Republican policy. Like I said, Donald Trump has $40 billion for Argentina. $40 billion for Argentina. But not a dime for anybody hungry. And the craziest part of all, too, by the way, if I can say, is the amount of people that voted for Trump, who still will vote for Trump, who are now realizing, oh, I'm not going to have any food benefits here, all right. No, you're not. But of course, they'll never turn on their buddy. It's worth my family starving to death to make sure Argentina got all that money. 952-946-6205. I'll take a break, come back. I'll get into what Walls is doing here, because he's this is called leadership, folks. He has realized we've got a pretty big problem with the SNAP benefits expiring, and he is coming up. He's got a solution. We'll talk about that when I come back. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. The Matt McNeil Show.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067, or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
The Park Tavern in St. Louis Park is the perfect place for fun. Their bowling lanes are a blast. Their full menu is amazing. Burgers, tacos, wings, sliders, pizza, dinners, and more. Or try their weekend breakfast menu. Enjoy all the games on their numerous TVs while enjoying their drink menu and happy hour specials. And the patio is open to enjoy the warmer months. And even when it's not too warm, they've got heaters and curtains. On Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park, your next get-together with friends or family will be great at the Park Tavern.
Twin Cities Con returns to the Minneapolis Convention Center for their 5th year, November 7th through the 9th. Twin Cities Con is a celebration of comics, toys, TV, film, art, cosplay, games, and all things nerdy. There's nothing like Twin Cities Con. It's also a family-friendly event where you can meet your favorite celebrities, browse the vendor hall and artist alley for the coolest merch, watch celebrity Q&As, and even more. Twin Cities Con is bigger and better than before. Come see from the Star Wars universe Ahmad Best, Rosario Dawson and Giancarlo Esposito, Brendan Fraser and the cast of The Mummy, WWE Wrestling Hall of Famers Sting and Mick Foley, and the voice actors from the hit Disney series Phineas and Ferb, plus more guests to be announced. 3 days of action-packed fun in the heart of Minneapolis at the Minneapolis Convention Center. Tickets start at $50. Kids tickets are just $10 for the entire weekend. VIP tickets also available, including a 3-day weekend pass, plus some really cool VIP perks. More guests will be announced. Buy your tickets and get more information at TwinCitiesCon.com.
In today's uncertain times, Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces believes that a fire can add comfort and security to your life. At Woodland, our mission is to connect you to a place for fire that works.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces installed our wood stove years ago, and we still love it. Watching the fire, feeling the heat is a joy we experience every day. And knowing we have a reliable heat source makes us feel snug and safe.
There are many choices in wood, gas, or electric. For diversity and styles, at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we display over 180 models, and 35 of these are burning displays. You can experience the glow and warmth of a live fire.
Whether wood, gas, or electric, find a fire that warms your heart, a fire that adds comfort and security to your life. See the many choices at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, located on the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis, and online at woodlandstoves.com.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces since 1977. For over 48 years, our slogan has been, out of the ordinary products and services. Our mission is to get you a fireplace that works in your life.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, rain expected very late with a low of 45. Then on Tuesday, rain continues with a high of 52. Celebrate Minnesota music legend Paul Metz's 70th birthday with a special benefit for AM 950 this Sunday at the Astor House in Minneapolis. The show starts at 7 p.m. Get your tickets at am950radio.com.
AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. By the way, I will be over there. I'm going to be at Metz's big party coming up here on Sunday. I look forward to seeing you out there as well. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Lynette is in St. Paul, wanted to chime in this afternoon. Welcome on in, Lynette.
Oh, hi, Matt. Where'd you say you're going to be?
Well, I'm going to be with Metza over at his at the Astor House. They got the big the 70th birthday party at Bash coming up here on Sunday night. I'm going to be over there with him and having a good time over there.
Yay. Well, I'll try to make it, but I'm probably working. But no, I did want to chime in because this was probably on the national news like last week when you're talking about people like just defending Trump no matter what it is. It's just, so anyway, there was a rancher and they were, talking to him about like how the prices of beef and Argentina, affecting, his ranch and his business. And the first thing he says is, well, I support, the president 100%. But he goes on to say how this is affecting his business and he's losing money and he's really worried about it. But he still supports Trump 100%. So it's like, I'm like, why? Listen to yourself say that part after the but. And it is amazing to me. It's so confusing.
Lynette, thank you very much. I appreciate the time. Thank you for the phone call today as well. Okay. 952-946-6205. Now, I will say, and this is going to piggyback on what Lynette said. This is basically 40 years of brainwashing people to believe that Democrats are not just really any sort of alternative mentality. And as you know, and I've talked about this with Michael Broadcorp when we've been on the air, he and I on a lot of issues want the same results. He just, this was old school politics. Republicans felt as if that, that the government should do some things for the people, but, some of the extra things, well, they should give the tax dollars back. And if the people want to do them, then they can find a private organization that does those sort of things. I am of the mentality that generally it's more cost effective and better for the community for the government to do some of those projects. Not all of them. I don't believe in, socialism necessarily, and I don't believe in any kind of thing to the extreme far left. But I also believe that we should take care of our own people, and if we have a system that's clearly broken, healthcare, for example, that we should do everything in our power to make it affordable and respectable, like it is in most other countries. That's what we used to be like. We used to be able to discussions of how much government should intercede into things and not. And now it's a point where it's just they're evil demon people that want to basically hold me down and stick my head in the toilet until I become a commie. And that is what they honestly believe. The reason why Trump is hurting these people, and once again, let's pull up the laundry list of things. And I mean, I can say this is on Trump, but this is on every Republican that represents your communities out there. Are your schools better than when they took over? Of course not. Many of them have shut down. And many people used to have a local school, and now they have to go 45 minutes to the local school district. Have they brought you broadband? No. How's your health care out there? Of course, a lot worse. It is, isn't it? It's a lot worse. You have, like I said, you just go to most small towns. They have, if they're lucky, they've got a co-op and they've got a gas station, and those are the only two businesses running in those towns. It's scary. And you look at this stuff, his ag policies, this is directly hurting them, but this is them basically saying, we know you're going to vote for us. We're going to hurt you. We don't care. And frankly, you don't either. And it's only when you are starving and on the dirt road, watching your house be inhabited by somebody else after you've lost everything, and you have nothing left, that maybe, just maybe at that point, you might say to yourself, hey, Republicans haven't made my life better. Well, that's where we're at. They're going, undeniably. I mean, it's interesting. If you talk to farmers in these red areas, Trump is really hurting them right now. He is really hurting every farmer out there outside of the big corporate farms. And yeah, the people are like, well, maybe a few of these people won't vote for him, but it's not like any kind of wholesale rejection of the Republican policy. I can't help you with that. I really can't. I mean, you guys need to realize who's on your side and who's not on your side. And right now, the Republicans are not on your side. Democrats have been trying to save healthcare and make better quality schools and bring jobs out to rural America and get fair, are not stupid enough to start a tariff war to basically jeopardize your entire ag market. Governor Walz is giving food banks $4 million to boost as an emergency food system brace for a temporary pause of SNAP benefits due to the federal government shutdown. SNAP is paid for by the federal government, and as funding runs out, recipients will not receive their benefits, usually the form of a credit on electronic benefits transfer card in the month of November, unless Congress reconvenes and passes a spending bill. That means the 440,000 Minnesotans who typically rely on SNAP for food are likely to seek help from food shelves instead. Most SNAP recipients are children, seniors, and people with disabilities. Jason Viana, executive director for the Open Door Food Shelf in Eagan, said his organization is already seeing heightened demand and is planning to increase distribution in the coming weeks. All the work we care for our community is not enough to solve any absolutely solvable crisis, Viana said Monday in a press conference. Walz visited Open Door to discuss the $4 million his administration is sending to food shelves around the state to temporarily boost food supply. The $4 million will absolutely be enough to help these for a small period of time, but it won't make us whole, Viana said. The money comes from the Department of Human Services budget. Most of this is Human Services Fund, which is intended for emergency services, said Tiki Brown, commissioner of the Department of Children, Youth, and Families. The rest is from Family First Prevention Services Act, which means it supports at-risk children and families. Walz said members of the Congress need to go back to work, although he also said that Democrats should continue to refuse to vote for a budget bill that doesn't include health care subsidies as long as it takes. About 1 in 5 Minnesota households experience food insecurity in 2024, according to a statewide survey. 1 in 5, which means if you are in a group of 5 people, one of those people has probably been hungry in the last year. I first of all commend Governor Walz. This is exactly what we need to be doing right now, is trying to find solutions. I want to make sure that money is distributed evenly, not only to, and once again, it's they talk about elderly, children, people with disabilities, single mothers, metro areas, rural areas. If it's needed on the reservations, by all means, we get it up there as well. We need to get that money out there and help these people, because no one should go hungry. No one should go hungry. But this is can I just bring up the sort of something that was talked about here, and Walz brought it up, is that there's a cruelty on display here, which is just hard to fathom. On one side, everyone's health care becomes unaffordable. So in the coming years, your curable, treatable illness wipes you out because you can't afford the health care, because health care is for wealthy people only. And the Republicans have basically decided that to prevent that from happening, they'll starve as many people as possible. It's just, how did one political party become so cruel? And I said this before. It's going to take churches, it's going to take you, Christian churches, it's going to take you putting aside the power the Republican Party is willing to give you to overlook a vast majority of Jesus's teachings, and for you to stand up for what you supposedly are for. It shouldn't just be one or two priests or pastors or reverends who are out there basically saying, hey, we need to stop this. It shouldn't be up to these benevolent orders of nuns that are out there trying to help people. This should be something that should be getting preached from every pulpit across the state about, we need to basically make sure, because those two things, once again, religious, content, you do or don't do whatever it is you do or don't want to do. I'm Christian. But feeding the hungry and taking care of the sick are two of the direct teachings from Jesus. And you cannot be a good Christian unless you embrace those things. And the ability, that the way that the church has allowed their buddies, who they're sitting next to, who they're hobnobbling with, who they're rubbing elbows with, to argue that those two things, those aren't important, so Jesus said something about them. Paul's letter to the Romans is the one you really need to pay attention to. We should be doing more. Child tax credits. This is another good story from the Reformer. Child tax credits are becoming more popular across the country. More than a dozen states offer them as financial relief towards the cost of raising kids. But new research shows cities could significantly reduce child poverty by offering child tax credit programs of their own. An analysis of the Center on Poverty and Social Policy at Columbia and the left-leaning Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy found that municipal programs could move the needle with relatively small amounts of money. Offering $1,000 or less per year to low and middle-income families could cut child poverty rates by 25% in several cities. I'm going to be honest with you. When you talk about the SNAP benefits, the reason why people are on them is because it's not because they don't have any income. It's just they're borderline on this income. And they're working full time and they still can't afford the groceries. I can see how something like this would work. Researchers say this sort of assistance would not only boost household finances, but also create more demand for local businesses, stabilize housing markets, increase local tax revenue. The study focused on 14 cities: Baltimore, Charlotte, North Carolina, Chicago, Denver, Houston, Jacksonville, Florida, Los Angeles, Minneapolis, New York, Oakland, California, Philadelphia, Phoenix, Seattle, and the District of Columbia. The analysis found that most of the cities could make significant gains by spending less than 15% of municipal revenue on new child credit programs. In Minneapolis, for example, researchers said a new program that costs less than $30 million per year will cut the city's poverty levels by half when accounting for existing state and federal credits. The mayor has recommended spending about $2.3 billion of the 2026 fiscal year budget. This prospect of creating new tax credit programs would likely pose financial and logistical challenges. Cities are already juggling many other priorities, including public safety and housing affordability, while at the same time facing some experts have characterized as fiscal crisis from growing climate change costs, federal funding cuts, and declining downtown activity. Baltimore, New York, Philadelphia have city income taxes that could incorporate a child tax income, but the research noted cities without tax managed to distribute pandemic recovery funds through basic income programs. That experience shows cities could create their own standalone applications, leverage IRS data sharing agreements, and work with third-party administrators. It's an idea. And, I guess this is the wall we run into. Basically, what they're saying is spend a little bit of money and you basically take care of one of the biggest societal problems that we have. And actually, society becomes cheaper. You're not having to spend multiple resources on programs to help support the people who you've basically taken off the streets or created a better life for. The problem is Republicans, and the argument is that you can say we'll invest $1,000. I mean, I haven't used this analogy in a long time, but I'm going to use this analogy because it is such a good analogy. Democrats are the kind of guys that want to pave their road with concrete because, yes, it is more expensive on the front end, but over the long term, it is phenomenally cheaper to pave that road in concrete than it is in asphalt. It is. I'll tell you right now, there are stretches of Highway 100 I was driving on as a kid that are still there. There are plenty of streets where it's a concrete street, and that's the same road I was driving on as a kid. It is far more cost effective to build roads with concrete in the long run. But what happens? It costs a lot more money in the front. You're paying more in the front end to build a concrete road, and that's how Republicans come on in. They're like, we're wasting too many taxpayer dollars. And so they say, see, if we do this with asphalt, it's cheaper. And to a point, they're right initially, but asphalt is horribly weak as far as a road construction equipment. You are generally having to do major repairs every year on that asphalt road, having to repave it every 5 to 10 years. It is far more expensive to spend the money on asphalt than it is on concrete. But you see, that's where we're at. The Democrats will look at a problem with the long-term consequences. Republicans don't care. They'll be long out of office. They'll be in their cozying lobbying gig after they're done out of office. They could care less about long-term. They only want quick results. And that is why we as a society are failing, is because the Republican politicians that represent us are not there thinking about long-term goals. They're only thinking about quick fixes so that they can look good, maybe win 1 or 2 elections, and then get out of the office and say, well, I wasn't against concrete. I just was, it was kind of the decision we made at the time. This program sounds good. And you could say to them, in the long run, we're going to save millions and millions of dollars by not having to spend other monies on these other resources later down the road. Republicans are saying, hey, wait a second here. I can't spend that kind of money. I got a lobbying gig with Antofagasta I got to get to. Exactly. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. It's the Matt McNeil Show here on a Monday.
I'm Marcus Jones. I'm a Minneapolis firefighter, just like my father was. Serving my community means leading with integrity and putting the community above myself. I don't trust Omar Fateh to lead the city as mayor. His state Senate campaign committed voter fraud. He's proposed corrupt legislation to benefit himself. Look it up. I was shocked at what I saw. We deserve leaders who are honest and lead with integrity, not Omar Fateh.
This independent expenditure is paid for by all of Minneapolis. It is not coordinated with or approved by any candidate, nor is any candidate responsible for it.
The Park Tavern in St. Louis Park is the perfect place for fun. Their bowling lanes are a blast. Their full menu is amazing. Burgers, tacos, wings, sliders, pizza, dinners, and more. Or try their weekend breakfast menu. Enjoy all the games on their numerous TVs while enjoying their drink menu and happy hour specials. And the patio is open to enjoy the warmer months. And even when it's not too warm, they've got heaters and curtains. On Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park, your next get-together with friends or family will be great at the Park Tavern.
So an atheist, a Christian, and a Buddhist walk into a church. There's no punchline. That's just what happens every Sunday at First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis. Join us for Sundays Reimagined or live stream at firstunitarian.org. Looking for community without doctrine? Questions without judgment? Think outside the pew. Join us for Sundays Reimagined at First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis or live stream at firstunitarian.org.
Hi, this is Frank Brown of Minuteman Press Uptown with a question for our listeners. How important are business values to you? When you need high-quality digital print, it matters who you work with. You see, Minuteman Uptown is unique. We're one of the only union print shops in Minnesota providing our team with living wages and benefits. We believe in second chances for justice-impacted individuals who want to contribute to the community, and we are active in local issues. We've been in the streets standing up for racial, social, and economic justice. At Minuteman Uptown, our mission is to connect all communities through technology-driven print solutions. An example of that mission is when I moved Minuteman Uptown to North Minneapolis. We're invested in this local community, and we help small businesses and local organizations throughout the Twin Cities reach their audiences. Reach out to Minuteman Uptown and partner with a printer that shares your values. Call us today at 612-870-0777 or visit us at mpuptown.com. That's mpuptown.com.
There really is no place like home. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Home Health. When you're faced with an illness or an injury, being able to stay at home and receive care is important. Our home health offers a wide range of services, including skilled nursing, physical, occupational, and speech therapies, aides, homemakers, in-home respite care, and 24/7 live-in care. We'll work closely with your primary care provider to come up with an individualized plan for you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. All right, so we'll change attention because I've focused a lot on Snap here. But once again, I want to make sure the one main point I get to is Trump could fund that tomorrow. He's got $40 billion for Argentina. He could fund that tomorrow. He's just determining that people going hungry is okay with him. And Republicans are like, yeah, starve them. Yep, that's what it is. Wow. Again, how did the Republican Party get so damn broken? How? I mean, and how did so many people who claim to be Christian get into bed with them and watch them do the least Christian things I've ever seen in my life and say, yep. All right. I don't know. Northeast Minnesota Town Board is being accused of going rogue with its lakefront government's decisions in 1-2 lawsuits. 8 property owners on lakes, including Sturgeon and Sand in Pine County, about 50 miles southwest of Duluth, are suing Windermere Township and its board and planning commission. The board in March approved an increase to shorefront subdivision of lot sizes, a move that to protect lake water quality, a move to protect lake water quality. So basically saying you had to include someone that wasn't grandfathered in, you have to have a certain size of lot to be on the shore lakefront. And to a point, I see that. I mean, if you've ever been in some place where they just, they just figure out a way to divvy up as much dock space. I mean, it's bad. And yeah, it's not a good thing. So I can understand why they're doing it. The changes have riled residents in this township, about 1,600 people who worry about township overreach and lost property value and development opportunities. A lawsuit filed in federal court accuses the board of spot zoning and says new rules were created to stifle progress. AKA, I was about to sell off my property, one property to 20 different landowners so they could, basically turn it into a party vacation area. How dare you? I'm guessing. I'm taking it. I'm spitballing here. That's what I'm guessing. What started as a simple project to meet minimum state requirements led to a sharp detour off course secretly in the last minute using a pretext of saving the lakes. How dare you try to save the lakes? Okay. It accuses a newly controlled planning commission of a conspiracy to secretly target certain landowners and of threatening those who complained during a public hearing with building permit revocations. The township disagrees with the claims made on both lawsuits, attorney has said. The township believes the evidence is going to show that they had the rational basis for making the zoning changes to its ordinance, and they believe that those changes are for the better of the lakes and the environment. I'm going to take a guess. I'm going to just guess. Is a land developer possibly involved in these lawsuits? Let's see. That's an old chin rubber there. I'm going to guess yes. I'm going to guess yes. How dare you let us not violate this land? Native Roots Radio is up next. Have a fantastic rest of your weekday, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Till then, see ya.
Hi, this is Paul Metza. Join